A very good afternoon, everyone. We are proud to present the fifth edition of vdonxt Asia, vdonxt Asia Week, an e-conference that looks to capture the goings-on in the online video industry through conversations and discussions with the top names in the business. To begin with, I would like to thank our sponsors, presenting partner Woot, associate partners Pubmatic, Viduli, and Z5, and insights partner NEPA for their support. Now introducing you to the moderator of the session, Ashwini Gangal, Executive Editor, afaqs. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. Over to you, Ashwini.
Thanks, Debashish. A formal welcome to my panelists. Hi, once again. Hi, audience. Welcome to the third panel discussion of vdonxt week. We're smack in the middle of our 5-day conference. Earlier this week, we had a couple of very intense discussions around business trends and the problem of piracy. But both those discussions were in the context of OTT content. Today, we're here to discuss a very special, very unique, very different type of subsegment within the universe of digital video, and that is short form video content. Now, we're talking bite-sized, snackable videos, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30, 60 seconds. It's instant gratification designed for instant fun in the here and now. The analogy I like to use is if watching a season of something, of a web series on OTT, is like enjoying a bottle of wine over several hours, this is like a tequila shot. So I have with me Rohit from Z5, he represents Hippie. I have Janvi from MX Takatak, Anish from Mitro, and Sunil from Firework. Welcome everyone. I'd like to quickly begin. Let's have a quick round of opening remarks from the panelists. Just take under a minute each, maybe maximum 2 minutes each, and just give us 4 bits of information so we know where you come from, where you stand. Talk about, put a number on your user base for your short form offering. Talk about the genres you cover, the type of content you cover. Talk about the Indian languages that your content is available in, or the short form content. And lastly, if it's possible, this is something that interests me immensely. It's a segment that's unique, not least because there's a huge overlap between the users and the creators. So just give us a sense of what that Venn diagram looks like at your platform. How many of your users are passive users and how many of them actually overlap with the creator community on your platform? So we can start anywhere. Let's start with Janvi.
Sure, thanks, Ashwini. Happy to be here. In terms of metrics, we're addressing a very large sort of audience. We're about at 150 million at this point in time, and growing rapidly. I think with short form video and with a UGC platform like Takatak, it's key to have consumers who not only come on the platform to consume content but to also create content. And so it's been a very major focus for us to drive up the UGC participation number. And we're sort of actively growing that number through a lot of our initiatives. And the other sort of big aspect of short form video content is to have fresh content, high quality content, and diverse content across languages and genres. I think admittedly, in terms of genres, the key focus tends to be on entertainment like lip sync, dance, comedy, music. But we do have a lot of long tail content across food, travel, photography, etc. And we're proactively building some of these categories. Language wise also, right now, I would say, about 50% is Hindi content. And then the rest of it is a long tail of our regional content across languages in India. And we're again actively trying to grow that because, as you have more supply in different regions, that's how you're going to be able to onboard more consumers and more creators. So that's where we are at basically at this point in time.
Okay, fantastic. Rohit, why don't you go next?
So in terms of users, we're over 100 million and growing very, very strongly. We are a content company and hence we leverage that very strongly in terms of providing the kind of content that we think that will work for users. So hence we do a mix of both UGC as well as other short form content, which we can anyways give to our users. In terms of categories of content, we do, all categories. As Janvi mentioned, right? I think everyone does most categories, and being a content company, I think what I can add is that we do some of our own content in short format as well, in the kind of format that we think that this kind of audience will enjoy as well. In fact, some of our TV shows in this kind of format work really well. I mean, some snippets of those work very well with audiences as well. So that's an attempt that we did, and it worked really well. It was a POC for us, but showed really good results. So that's something different that we do, I think, compared to most of the players out there. Yeah, and that's that. I think in terms of overlap, we are seeing that grow quite a lot. When we launched our short form application, or short video application, the focus was to onboard creators very aggressively, and I think that helped a lot. So a lot of our content, which is UGC, where we see that that people are actually creating content as well as consuming a lot of it. So we see a fair amount of overlap, and that's growing very rapidly as well. So that's a very positive sign that we look at.
Okay, I will come back to both of you with more questions specifically around monetization. Anish, why don't you go next?
Yep. Hello, everyone. And yep, I mean, very good questions in the first set of questions itself. I mean, what you said about the user base and the overlap of creator versus viewer is very essential. We have organically grown up to 50 million users as of now, and now we are working with on some new initiatives to increase the pace in which we acquire the users. One thing which has been our focus from the initial days was that what we have seen in short videos before we had launched was that users are coming towards some of the influencer. It was more of an influencer-led content. So your creator to view, the overall user base ratio was not so high. And that has been a main focus for us. And as of now on our platform, we see 22% of the users are actually creators. And that was a main focus with which we launched 18 categories. So the content in these categories, we actually call communities. So our focus has been always towards getting organic creators on these communities, making sure that they are able to understand what the user needs in each of these communities and enable communications around the viewers and the creators. So our focus has been that a creator now should not be just an influencer. I mean, that is not the word. It has to be a larger mass where everybody, when we talk about UGC, it has to be 100% UGC. And that was the focus, and that is what we are working with. And that is the area of growth which we are seeing.
Okay, great. Now, Sunil, you go next, and I came to you last, by design, because Firework is, again, by definition, slightly different from the rest because you're not app-centric. Your videos are on the open web in a decentralized format, and you're not UGC focused. You're OGC and PGC focused, which is occupational and professionally generated content. So, contextualize my question about the opening remarks through, with your product.
Thanks, Ashwini. We basically are what you could call the toolkit for anyone who wants to bring short videos into their environment. I mean, currently we work with about 190 different publishing points within India and close to about 350 globally. What we have done essentially is taken the narrative away from saying that short video has to be necessarily an app. Short video is a media format that has been around for 60, 70 years as a television advertising format, and short video is not necessarily an ad. Short video can exist anywhere. So we provide publishers like NDTV, publishers like the One India, or even e-commerce stores. I mean, we power a lot of e-commerce stores to move from their static images to use short video, because 92% of the audience that is coming on any of these platforms are on the mobile web, and mobile web does not have enough amount of video infrastructure that allows them to very quickly serve short videos. And on the back of that, what we've also created is a network that exists across Jio, across Airtel, Vodafone Idea, And this total, I mean, if you look at the network strength, the network monthly active users, we are close to touching about 100 million already. And this is on the this is without spending any money. I mean, that's important. And as far as the content goes, if you are a publisher, you can do your own content. So you can convert all the text and images into the videos that you want, or you can get to work with our content production team and do the same. Ideal case, we want all the publishers and all the people who are using the toolkit to create the content and buffer it up or strengthen it with the content that comes from the global partners like Bloomberg and AMC and BBC America. In India, we work with Bollywood Hungama and a lot of other places, and that's a content that that's available. So you can pick and choose. You can give your audience your own content, and you can bring other content into the same network. And that's one way to go about it. As far as languages are concerned, it's very easy to do a cold start with Hindi and English. So that's the very obvious thing that we do. We currently do 8 languages. So it's Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Bengali, Gujarati, and Punjabi that we have added to this mix. And this content is what is then being made available within Google Discover. So the Google Discover relationship for us is very, very important. Google, it has integrated very deeply into our metadata stack and are matching content to the search results that are being available to the search data that they have, and making videos that are relevant available. So the genres that we do is DIY, a lot of personal finance. We saw a huge uptake between April and July, almost 700% growth in wellness and mental health related content. So there are specific areas that we work with. And like you said, we work with professionals in the space. There is no user generated content, and that's the
Okay. Good. Thanks for your opening remarks. Now I'm going to jump right in, okay? And I apologize in advance for the crass Bollywood line I'm going to quote over here. I watched a movie in 2013, and it was called Mickey Virus. And there's a line in that which just comes back to me when I think about the short form video segment, and that's "Kaddu katega to sab mein batega." And the proverbial pumpkin over here is, of course, the time and the attention of the TikTok user, the TikTok creator, and of course the advertisers, a wallet. So I want to just understand from all of you whether this so-called lack of differentiation in this segment bothers you, what you're doing about it, because I spoke to a few people and they said, these apps are all clones of one another. These platforms are very similar. Now, is it a life cycle thing that now they're similar, but we're about to see different genres emerge? Talk about that. And the second part of the question, which is related, is that in a bid to differentiate, will you give up on width? Because, the more sharply defined your sub-community, your subculture, micro-culture, your niche audience is, the easier it might be to get targeted advertising. But at the same time, you'll get depth, but you may lose out on width. But then width again makes you a clone of your rival. So Janvi, Rohit, Anish, just take this up, and whether it's a defense, whether it's a reaction, or whether it's a solution. Let's have it.
So maybe I'll go first. So I think, first of all, I think it's a life cycle thing. Over time, we will start to differentiate, but the differentiation, I think in these short video apps will not just come from, the genres of content, but from the content quality and the diversity that you're able to provide, from the product and the creator tools, and finally from the recommendation algorithms or engines that you're sort of able to build as a product. Because eventually, basically people are coming to these short form video apps to consume content in short bursts of time across the day, and they're looking for personalized content. So I think width is important, but provided you have that width and then can cater the right kind of content to the right kind of people, that's how you're going to sort of win the audience and continue to grow. And from a monetization perspective, I think this space is very interesting to advertisers. But like you said, if you go too niche, you're going to limit the reach. And for advertisers in this space, reach is important, but but so is the engagement that they're getting from platforms like us. So I would say that getting a very wide variety of content, high quality, fresh content, but being able to personalize well is going to be the key differentiator over time.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Rohit, what's your take? Because everybody had a moment, a collective moment when TikTok was banned, and there's no denying that we're yet to step out of that shadow. So, your response?
Yeah, so it echoes some of the things that Janvi said, very very rightly put. So it is a lifestyle. It is a life cycle thing that. In a bid to launch quickly, obviously. So this is early on in the life cycle of most products. I think everyone here, apart from Firework, right? Apart from Sunil's product, which is obviously different B2B, they won't have a life cycle of more than a year and a half at the max. I know Takatak doesn't. I know Hippie doesn't. I'm not very sure of when Mitro was launched. But most short video apps are very early on in their life cycle, and hence this is a life cycle thing. So basically, the products will evolve. I'm sure everybody will and does need to figure out what their USP is, right? When you're looking at content, Janvi put it very rightly. It's obviously about the quality of content that you have, the recommendation engine that you have, how much personalized or how personalized is the content that you're providing to a consumer, and how relevant is he, how many times, how much time that he ends up spending on your platform, and how interesting is he finding that content. So that's obviously core and key towards the attention span, the grabbing of the attention span of the user. But eventually, I think everyone will basically figure out. I know that we have a very clear strategy in terms of how we are evolving our product. Unfortunately, I can't share too much right now. But we have a very, very clear roadmap and strategy on how we want to develop and what space we want to be in, both from a product perspective as well as from a monetization perspective.
Okay.
So what is our monetization roadmap?
Yeah, sure.
So it's basically a life cycle thing. And obviously, when you look at the creator side, here we are talking about the viewer side. When you look at the creator side, then obviously creator tools, etc., become important as to how you're enabling people to be able to create their own content. And lastly, I think what I'll also add is, depending on the product, what they're focusing on. For example, if you look at us, we have both UGC as well as what you can call PGC, which is our own publisher content. But yeah, we have both. Whereas I think when Anish was talking earlier, he was basically talking about purely UGC. So hence, I think in terms of content strategy, it will again be defined by where each product is, or where each business is looking to evolve, and which space do they want to evolve into, and what kind of users are they targeting.
Okay. Anish, do react to the accusation that the segment gets, on the it gets called, Me Tooism is a big critique that comes your way. What do you have to say about that? And do you agree with them that it's just a matter of life cycle? And what's the caveat there for monetizing? Depth over width?
Yeah. So first of all, just to answer Rohit's question, we launched in April 2020. So this was much before the void for the TikTok was created, essentially. And why we launched at that point of time was we still saw a void in the content play. So what we look when we talk about when users also say that it's a copycat app, or it is a clone, it's about the user experience, which everybody is saying. It's a content format or the layout in which you are watching the content, and that is what has stuck. And that is something which is going to change with your content strategy, because a void which we saw was the kind of content and the way the information can be shared in short video platform. That needs innovation, and with that innovation, even the creator toolset and all of those things will also change. And that has been the journey of each of the social platforms which we have seen. In a way, they are all content sharing platforms, right? So that is one thing which is going to happen. And I think with that, with your content strategy and the content formats which you are trying to work upon, the product look and feel, and as well as your personalization and all of those things will automatically change. That is more of a sanity. I mean, you can't have a application which is not personalized to the user's need. Otherwise, you will never be able to engage users onto the application. And if you're not able to engage, then you can't monetize the platform as such.
Yeah, that's different. That's of course, if you're the CTO. I was going to anyway ask you about what you're optimizing for, about the
I'd like to
algorithm.
add to that, Ashwini, one very important point that that Anish mentioned, that when you say copycat, basically because of layout. Now, if a user is used to a certain layout, or if something works for a user, then that's something that will be there everywhere. I mean, when you look at OTT applications, or let's look at more evolved places, right? In terms of video, when you look at OTT apps, you're not looking for a different layout. You're not saying that, hey, why does everybody have a hero banner for their main content? Why do they have carousels below that? And why do they have vertical images? Why are they looking similar? I mean, so there you're not calling them copycat. But just because here you have that full screen video layout, and you have those icons which have been tested because the larger screen, so it's easier for you to use your fingers on your right bottom side, and hence all your buttons, or all your CTAs, etc., are on the right bottom side, which is actually scientifically proven. So hence you're calling them copycat apps. Now, if you go to news also, so I manage news as well, right? So if you go to news also, I mean, the layouts are pretty much, standard, because these are tried and tested over time. You don't call e-commerce stores or e-commerce platforms copycat apps, even though they have the same format. Any e-commerce store will, right?
Yeah.
It's only the color combination that changes there, and the font changes, and that's all that's different between for lack of a better word, a Flipkart or an Amazon, right?
Interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, so it's inventory. Yeah, so you're differentiating e-commerce with inventory, and same. I mean, content is inventory here. Why is this copycat?
Okay, great. Just 1 second. I have a couple of announcements to make before I go to my next question. One is, audience, I've already seen one question come in around monetization. Keep them coming. Please punch them in, and we'll get to them during the course of the discussion. And secondly, we have a hard stop at 4:45, because we have a fireside chat, a one-on-one interview with Srishti Bell Arya of Netflix coming up. So stay tuned for that. So I'll just quickly move on. Yeah, so Rohit, point taken, point noted. I just want to ask one more thing. You mentioned ad formats earlier in the discussion. Anish, you touched upon it as well. Tell me, which are the ad formats that work right now on short video platforms, and which formats will take the segment to the next level in the months ahead? So 6 months from now, which formats will really work? Hashtag challenges, we've done that. Sponsored content, native, or exclusive deals. What's going to work on the monetization front?
I'll just try to take this up, and I'll answer it a bit differently. So when we look into monetizing short video platform, we are talking only about advertisements. I think it is just one of the things, and not going to be the major thing on how short video content are monetized. And that is why early on also I said that community interactions and how people are able to engage around short video is going to be very important. So if you're able to crack it, it opens up a new world in which how you can actually monetize this space and the content which is around it. Obviously advertisements, and obviously the layout, again, going back to what Rohit said, if you break users journey, it is always going to create friction. So the layouting and all of those things, even for advertisements, is also going to be around this. And that is where, in fact, what Sunil also said, right? Short video was the first exposure for us for short video has been advertisements, TV advertisements. So that is the right format for advertisements. But whether only a hashtag campaign, can you just get everybody talking about it for one time of period of time and then move away from it? How successful it is going to be? Is it always going to be the play? I really doubt it. There are more ways in which the entire space can be monetized, and it is going to depend upon the communities and the kind of interactions which you are able to generate around the content. And we should learn from what is happening globally also. And the same trend has started. We have started seeing these trends in different countries. I think as the audience matures and the platforms also mature in India, the same path will also follow.
Okay, yeah, it's a very interesting space because the creator has to also make money, the platform has to make money. It's all an ecosystem. Janvi, Rohit, the monetization is right up your alley, at your respective organizations. So do talk about the formats that are going to take this segment to the next level, because advertiser money is a finite resource. And, as a gentleman was mentioning on the first panel this week, that, there's pure play OTT, there's short form, there's within digital video, there's so much. Then within short form, there are so many. So it's finite money. So what's the biggest challenge here, and how do you plan to solve it?
So I think, first of all, we haven't really started monetizing with Takatak, but we're seeing a lot of advertiser interest. But like Anish said, I think ads is not the only format for monetizing short video. If you look at China, if you look to the West, there are several formats that are being tested. And for example, in China itself, between Kuaishou and TikTok, they monetize fairly differently. Ads dominates TikTok, while Kuaishou is dominated by virtual gifting on live streaming. Now, whether that's a format that evolves in India or not, we'll have to sort of figure out over time as we launch live and as we experiment with it. The other thing that we think could evolve in terms of monetization on short video is e-commerce, or publisher content on live streaming. So there are a lot of different avenues here to monetize. And then coming back to advertising, because brands are looking for engagement on short video platforms, this is a slightly different platform to monetize for advertisers. They're looking, to build reach and brand awareness. And they have different avenues to do that on short video, through inventory or through branded hashtags, or maybe through something else over time. So I think it's a little too early to sort of talk about what monetization will work or not, but I think the opportunity is huge, and will just continue to grow over time.
Okay, by e-commerce you mean video commerce or social commerce, right? That's
video commerce is something that's happening in China. I mean, it could become something else in India, but that seems like sort of a good place to start.
Sure. Rohit, where are you at in this discussion?
So Janvi mentioned and what Janvi said is very, very relevant on the various other aspects, and something that she touched briefly. I just elaborate on that. That when you look at advertisers, right, and then because you talked about OTT as well as being video, and then short form also being video, and then comparing the two, and then you mentioned about the advertiser purse.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'd actually take up something that Janvi mentioned and elaborate on that. That an advertiser, obviously, there are it basically depends on the advertiser goal, as you know what they're looking for. Are they looking for performance? Are they looking for brand awareness? What are they actually looking for? When you're looking at an OTT platform, you're essentially looking at performance. Whereas when you're looking at short video and from a hashtag challenge perspective, or for a branded content perspective, then a lot of times you're actually looking at branding. You're actually looking at creating that brand awareness, and may or may not be looking at performance in that kind of perspective.
Yeah.
So that's one, right? So that's the differentiation between the two formats. And then apart from the various monetization possibilities that Janvi had mentioned, you also have this other possibility of increasing that advertiser base.
Right.
Currently, we are all thinking about, hey, look, there is this advertiser and he needs to prepare this media plan and needs to divide his monies among this and this platform. What we are forgetting is that there is a whole a very, very large base which is not even started advertising on digital, which is retail, which is not even started advertising on digital. Then what we are forgetting about is a very large base of creators who are also, in a sense, advertisers, and actually do end up spending a lot of money. If you look at Instagram, for example, trying to create and increase their own reach as well. So there is a whole different advertiser space, which actually nascent and hasn't been captured yet.
No, sure, absolutely. In fact, I was gonna ask both you and Janvi about bundling, because on Hippie is part of Z5. It rests in the app, and with Takatak, it's part of the main parent app, MX Player. It's also separate, but it's also available on the main app. So, when it comes to brands and conversations with advertisers, does bundling help? I mean, because to my mind, the two audiences are very different. Short form and OTT. It's like selling sushi and pani puri at the same place. So how does that work out when it comes to inventory and
Well,
monetization?
we don't think so. We think the audiences are, to a large extent pretty similar between the MX Player app and the Takatak app. Which is why we actually have Takatak on the MX Player main app. And for in terms of bundling this offering to advertisers, we've been doing that for a while, because at MX Player we've had the OTT music as well as gaming, and that's something that our team has been sort of has successfully managed to sell as a great proposition to advertisers. So adding Takatak on there is actually very useful, because you're getting to users across different times, in the day, and different need states. So for example, maybe at night they're watching like a show, but at different short intervals during the day they're consuming consuming short form content, and maybe they're doing gaming during breaks at work. So you can reach users at different times. The same brand can reach that same user across different times in the day, which just increases their sort of impact. So it's been a very useful proposition for us.
Okay. Sunil, if you want to add anything, or I have another question for everybody. Do you want to talk about the monetization piece?
No, but I was trying to get in between what the three apps are talking about and all that. One of the things that we have found here, as well as in other markets, is the is safety of content. There's a great safety of content. There is a lot of emphasis that brands put in terms of what is the kind of content that their ads are being seen alongside, and I think that is something which is becoming a concern area for a lot of publishers as well, which is the reason why when we are powering some of these conversations with some of the telecom operators or some of the publishers, we are putting an extra layer of moderation out there to ensure that there is no content that's coming in. So it's like the platform is moderating, and I think that is becoming an important aspect of what we are trying to put out there to the advertisers. That short video, perception has been that it is not clean content. It is not the kind of content that I want to associate with. And we are trying to move away by talking to a lot of brands, by giving the brands the opportunity to experiment with short format content. And I think the world has largely moved away from hashtag challenges to now being more specific about sponsored content, native content. Call it what you will. I mean, we are sitting on the tip of the iceberg. And if Ashwini, you were to do this panel 2 years from now or 3 years from now, the story would be very, very different. Because the inherent nature of what we are saying here, app versus the open web. Open web audience is not going to go away, but the app audience is something that you have to be a little bit more careful. Your retention is a problem. Your download and uninstalls is a problem, and those are things which evolved advertisers are pretty pretty aware of. One last bit that I want to add to it is like what we are seeing is a lot of small brands that are using Firework for bringing short videos to their interfaces are now beginning to ask how they can come on the larger network. So what I said right at the beginning, you come for the tool and you stay for the network. For us, the network effect is beginning to take place in India and in markets like Russia and Japan, where the brand puts the video and the story unit on their interface, on their app, on their own owned and operated thing, and very quickly switches on the advertising and the audience extension bit. So it's suddenly, you might have a brand like Purple Punchy, which is using us, which they have their own owned and operated interface, and they want to now come on, say, KaiOS, or they want to come as part of on the NDTV grid, and that's advertising revenue that's getting generated within the ecosystem. So we are very, very early in the discussion on monetization, and I think we'll have to wait for at least 2 cycles more to see where the swing goes, and that's a reality. And I think all of us will have to just be patient about that.
Sure, sure. Anish, I'd like to bring you in here because, we don't have CTOs on our panels very frequently, and it's very exciting. Just tell me, what exactly are you optimizing for? I can think of 3-4 things off the cuff. It could be the tools for creators, the ease of shooting and uploading. It could be the endless scrolling, that bit, keeping people on the on the app. Or the recommendation engine. TikTok was supposed to be the gold standard when it came to studying your viewer trends and throwing stuff at you. We even have a question on this front actually about the algorithm. So do talk about that, and what are the biggest challenges there?
Right. You speak about it. Sorry. So yeah, some of the things which we are editor tool and all of those things are part of the app. And obviously, when you solve for India and Indian users, one is that you have to make sure that the videos, the buffering issues, right? That is something we need to solve for. Low data consumption. So basically, low bandwidth utilization for the video. So we have to optimize on the video compression. Those are these are the technologies which you don't see it in front face, but that is one of the essential things where you have to develop your expertise in. So that is something which we have been working very actively on. Obviously, recommendation engine has to come in. It is not just on what you see on the feed, it is what you see on the search everywhere, right? So that goes without saying that recommendation is something which we have been working on day one, and it is a continuously improving thing which we work on. One very important thing is moderation of content, because we are in UGC space. This is not a PGC content. So moderation of content becomes very important, and that too, it has to happen in a real-time manner. Because if somebody uploads the content and that is not visible onto the platform, then they will not be satisfied with it. So a lot of effort is going on that. We have moved, a lot in that direction, starting with manual moderation to now we have almost automated the process, obviously, in a way, and how exactly you are able to make sure that you are able to contain the contents which violate the community guidelines. So that is another area where we are doing a lot, and that has been also a focus area. And when you do this is a part of the same problem essentially, because it all requires you to create deeper understanding of the content. So you develop on understanding videos, doing those analysis. It helps you gather more information about the content and as well as about the user, and that helps you in the rest of the phases, which is the recommendation and what the user actually should be doing on the platform.
Got it. No, that's very interesting. The tech side is always very interesting. It's the backbone almost, which we can't see. Now it's time for closing comments. I just want to ask, one is a yes no question, okay? Because the competitive landscape is so interesting right now. We've got startups, independents like Anish's app. We've got the likes of Z and Takata, which are backed by large media companies, and now we've also got the big tech folks getting into the short video space. So while on the one hand it is differentiation is a problem, it hardly feels like a level playing field at some other level. Question is, going forward, will we see a lot of consolidation in this space? That's a yes no. And I'm curious to know whether we will have a sweet spot emerge in terms of the duration of short video. Is there some such thing as the optimum time for a short video? Not too long, not too short. So give us a numeric answer for that and a yes no for the consolidation question.
So go first. Consolidation, I think, will happen. That goes without saying, because we are seeing this ecosystem emerge, and just like any other ecosystem, it will also go through that same journey. About the duration, it depends upon the category or the genre of the content. Every what kind of content you are trying to have will have its own sweet spot. And we have seen the entertainment kind of content being 20 seconds there is the limit. That is the attention span which we see, but other genres have different. So there are we have also, so the debatable topics like opinions see 45 seconds of watch time on an average, but entertainment sees lesser. So it depends upon the genre. It will always depend upon the genre.
Okay, that's interesting. Sunil, consolidation, yes, no, and give us a number for your optimum short form duration.
So I'm the outsider, so I'm going to bring the outsider's point of view here.
Yeah.
So consolidation has not happened in the OTT space. It's not going to happen in the short video, environment either, because I don't think MX belonging to Times is going to want to get acquired by Hippie belonging to Z, or Z is not going to get agree to get acquired by anyone else. They will probably want. So look at OTT. Indies like Alt Balaji continue to be there, while there are several others that have come in, and there is a broadcast OTT ecosystem that evolved. There's a broadcaster, there's a telecom ecosystem that is evolved. And I think this is going to continue for at least 4 or 5 years. If someone dies or runs out of money, let's be honest, if this is an expensive game to play, people will run out of money and that will die. That's a natural thing of the startup ecosystem evolving over a period. Sweet spot, I think we've experimented from anything from 90-second down to 15-second. If you're doing lip sync, you cannot tolerate lip sync, bad lip sync beyond 15 seconds. So that worked for lip sync. A decent belly dance, you can tolerate for 15 to 20 seconds. So let's be honest. That's for that category of content, it's 15 to 20 seconds that you can tolerate.
Okay, perfect.
If you're telling a story, you need at least 30 seconds.
Okay.
Right? To sell a luxury car, you need 30 seconds. To tell a proper story, you need 30 seconds. So we have stuck to the 30-second unless asked for, then we can go up to 45 or 60, but nothing beyond 60.
Okay, perfect. Janvi, Rohit, 60 seconds each because we have to wrap up.
Sure. I'll be really quick. I think I agree with Sunil on the consolidation bit, at least not in the short term. I don't think that'll happen. And in terms of optimal time, we found that it's around 12, 13 seconds on the platform, and TikTok was at around that sort of time. Over time, as the content formats evolve, I do see some longer format, not long form, but maybe 1 to 3 minutes content coming in. But I think it will remain around this 12 to 15 second sort of time frame for the short form content that we're focusing on right now.
Okay, wonderful. So only Anish has said yes so far as consolidation goes, projections. Rohit, closing remarks?
So I would agree with Anish. I think consolidation will happen but I also agree with Sunil on the fact that may not happen among the larger media houses, but given that there are a lot of startups in the space and a lot of VC money is going into the space, consolidation does tend to happen in order to cut your losses, especially where VC money is involved. So hence consolidation will definitely happen. And among regarding the optimal time of consumption of video, again, agree with most of the stuff that has been said about optimally, depending upon the category of the content as to how much time the user is willing to give to that particular piece of content. But I also think that there will be evolution of some kind of short format, ranging between 1 to 2 minutes as well. That category will also start to get evolved in the near future.
It's interesting. I wonder if we'll call it something else, not short, but like a medium format or something, develop some new jargon or nomenclature for it. Very interesting. Great. That's all we have time for. It was a wonderful discussion. I think we covered a lot of ground. Thank you very much, Janvi, Sunil, Anish, and Rohit for your time. Thank you, audience, for your questions. I hope we've answered some of them.